Hey guys, welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are going to be reacting to John Michael Lander's story. He was a diver. He went professional, represented USA, and he talks about his story of how he was groomed, how he had horrible things done to him since high school by the coaches, by people that were supposed to help him get to where he got, and how he was sexually, and yeah. I watched some TikToks about it. I haven't watched the whole thing. I had to look it up and I found the full story. So we're gonna watch this video together and react to it together. Because from the TikToks, girl. Yeah. Okay, let's watch this video now.
I'm John Michael Lander, a former Olympic diving contender and sex abuse survivor. As a 14-year-old Olympic-bound athlete, the adults that were entrusted with my training groomed and silenced me into shame and guilt. And I continued on, and I still won gold medals at the Norway and the Danish Cups. So that's basically the whole story in a nutshell. I grew up on a farm in this really old farmhouse that was built in 1865. And so I had this whole area to play with, and I used to do flips and somersaults and jump off things. And my parents thought it might be a good idea to take me down to the pool, the local pool, and, wear me out, I guess. And when I went down there, I started to do these things off the board, and there was a lifeguard there and said, you need to do this, and you need to go to this person right here. And so he connected me with a coach. And so we went there that afternoon, and he taught me a couple more dives. We went to a meet that evening, and I took second. And so we thought that this could be something to explore. And that's how the diving started happening. And I was 12 when that all started. And by 14, I had qualified for the Junior Olympics and took 8th. And by taking 8th, there was an article that ran through the newspaper locally, and a lawyer saw it, and he contacted my mother. And he started to meet with my mother, a couple of times over the next 3 months. They would have coffee, or they would have, a little dinner. And he basically started to share with my mother that he had this group of professional friends that could help with the diving expenses if my mother agreed to this. He also started to, go further with it by telling my mother that this probably would be the only way that I could ever go to the Olympics and get a scholarship was through their help and their support, because diving is really expensive. And so my mother started to listen to this, and so she agreed. But this again was after months and months and months that he had groomed her and talked with her. What we didn't know until later on is that he had already talked to my team and my coach, and basically told the team and the administrators at the team that he had this group of sponsors, professionals, who would sponsor the team. But they were really focused on me, and that they would help pay for everything if they had agreed that they could be part of the sponsorship. And so the team said, sure. So basically what had happened is what this lawyer did was created what I call the predatory grooming trifecta, is where he groomed the institution first, then my parents. And it wasn't until he had those two organizations and my parents in order, then he came and spoke to me and started taking me out to dinner and talking to me and telling me that, this is the only way you're going to make it. And so I started to believe him. I also realized that, my parents were not, going through some struggles with finances. And one of the things that the lawyer promised my mother was that any professional that I was connected with, they would help the family, sort of doctor appointments, medication, anything like that. And my youngest sister had a terrible sledding accident and had to have reconstructive surgery on her chin. Everything was going to be taken care of if we agreed to this. And so that's how that all kind of worked out. I agreed. He told me that there was 3 things that I had to do for him. One was to do the best I can in competition and win as many titles as I can. The second was to do the best that I could in school and keep an A average. And 3, just make sure that the professionals were happy with me so that they wouldn't be disappointed and go back and tell him how upset he was. So I agreed. And so he created a contract. And one of the other things I had to agree to is that I couldn't talk about this. I wasn't allowed to tell anybody about this, because what he told me was I was the only one on the team that they were interested in, because I had already took 8th at the Junior Olympics and qualified for 2 international meets. And I was going to go and start representing the United States. So that's all that they worried about. And so I agreed. I signed the contract. And so things started to happen. And what basically happened is that he started to introduce me to these other professionals, one at a time at first. And I would go and have dinner with them. And then, of course, that would lead to something else. And
Where was the mom in all of this? Letting her kid go out to dinner with grown-ass man without her being present? Like, yeah, just go with my kid. I don't think I can do that.
didn't understand it. I was scared. I was frightened. I didn't really know what was happening. I had not had any sexual experience until this moment. I realized that I started to normalize everything, that this was what was going to take for me to become an Olympian and my dreams. So I kind of just thought this is what I was supposed to do. And I remember one night on my 16th birthday, this had been going on for now 2 years. And I finally broke down and I told my mother I couldn't go. And she asked me why. And I finally said, he touches me. And she didn't understand what that meant. So I kind of showed the area. And then she looked at me really funny and got a serious expression on her face. And then she slapped me across the face. And she said, it's not nice to make up lies about people. This is a prominent person in the community, and he is helping us. If anything ever happened, it must have been your fault. Now you go have dinner with this person, and you come back and you tell me what you had for dinner. And as I was walking out of the house, I told myself at that moment, if my mother wasn't going to believe me, no one else would. And so that's...
Let me know your thoughts down below, guys, because that is crazy. Either the mom knew already what was going on, or I don't know, girl. That's crazy. Why would you not believe your kid if your kid's crying to you and telling you?
Where I became very silent about it and kept, everything within myself. These events started to grow. I would be invited to certain parties, and at these parties there would be 5, 6 young men. I tended to be the youngest. I was in high school, the others were in college. And they would give us certain outfits to wear. I always had to wear a white Speedo. I think it was because I was the diver. I'm not sure. But we would line up. And as the guests would come through, they would come down through the line and look at us, ask questions, touch us, kind of like size us up. And then they would go in the back room and they would place a silent bid on which kid that they wanted. And at the...
So pretty much it was like they were being sold to grown-ass man. That's crazy.
The end, the bidder that had the highest bid for which one of us would get that person for the night or for the week or however long that they had agreed to. There was also
a week? Oh my God. Where was the mom in all of this? Letting her kid be gone for a week or days or what? There's so many questions in this.
And there was also incentives for the boy to have the highest amount of money raised. That would mean more money coming to him, tuition paid, room and board paid, or whatever. And most of the guys who were college age were being taken care of that way. We were called ponies, and the older guys, there was a grad student, and he was called a horse. So that's how we were kind of labeled, and that's how we knew where we fit in this pecking order. So that's kind of exactly what happened. This went on all 4 years of my high school. They were a group of professionals who were very protective of each other and took care of each other. There were lawyers, there were judges, there were police officers, therapists, medicals, doctors, all these people. And
what the heck? So these are like a lot of like lawyer, doctors, all big name people involved doing this with kids. That is so mind blowing away. Like, moms, protect your children. You literally can't trust anybody. I'm so mind blown away with this. I mean, it doesn't surprise me because there's so much crazy shit going on now in the world. You can't trust anybody. But that's still crazy to believe, like, people you're supposed to trust, like a doctor, taking your kids to the doctor's office, a therapist, and they're doing shit like this. It's just crazy.
So what happened is once I became part of this group, there was only one doctor I was allowed to go see, and that was a doctor at the university. So I was brought onto campus as a teenager and abused by this doctor in his office on campus. And
so the doctor would even abuse him in campus. Wow.
Example, another way this all protected, one of the guys crashed a Mercedes and there was a on the seat with him. And so the police officers brought him in and they were going to charge him for possession. Well, the professionals came in, they talked to the police officers, made a donation, and that whole case disappeared. Other things that we knew, we were told we weren't allowed to talk about it. We weren't allowed to talk to each other. And they kept us separated about that. One of the guys, I do remember, started to ask questions and he disappeared and we never knew what happened to him. We knew that he was taken out of the university. We knew that he
So there were powerful people.
Where though? So that kind of gives you the whole background of what's going on. By the time I was 14 and I qualified for the Junior Olympics and took 8th, that's when the lawyer walks in and offers this incredible gift to my parents, especially to my mother, which would help every way. And that's all she saw. She saw this is going to help him. This will take care of all the finances. This will take care of travel. This will take care of practices and paying for the coach. And later on, we discovered that the lawyer had also met with the coach and started to give him extra incentives and money to pay attention to me. And so that's how this whole thing was kind of orchestrated. Well, I'll try to put it all encapsulated in one day for you, the first experience. Now, you got to understand that before this, I did have dinner with some professionals, and that was all it was. It was either a dinner or go see a movie or something like that. So it all started out as very innocent in a way. So,
okay, I believe now that the frickin' mom was involved in the whole thing and she just cared about the money, and not about her son. What a piece of shitty person. I don't care if this video gets demonetized or whatever because I'm cussing a lot. But she's just a piece of shit person. To pretty much, she sold her son to these people to do whatever they want with him. And she's getting paid for that. Hell no. Oh my God.
On this one particular day, hey, does this mean that I'm a perv? You know, all these questions were popping in my head. And I could remember my father, who was very religious, would throw out Bible verses to me. And he would say stuff like, you know, if you lie with another man, you're an abomination. And those thoughts would just ring through my head constantly. And so I started to find that I started to disassociate with myself, if that makes sense. I found myself putting in categories. I was going to be the good son. I was the student. I was the athlete. And then I found myself being the sinner when I had to be. And I would allow myself to take on these different personalities to fit the situation I was in. The professionals started the abuse and the grooming and all that when I was 14. And so, but I had met the lawyer earlier than that. So I met him at 13, but 14 is when everything started to happen. So the full 4 years of high school was dealing with professionals. I started to figure out that I can make my escape, I thought was my escape, was to apply for schools as far away as I could. 2 schools that I got accepted into were the University of Hawaii and the University.
Comment down below what you guys think of his story. I personally think it's fucked up how his mom knew and she allowed that to happen, continued to let it happen for money. He pretty much had to hide from his mom and dad and everybody in his family to get away from them, to escape. Thank God for that teacher that helped him. God bless her. God bless him to continue healing his heart, because he still sounded very hurt, and specific things that he was talking about, you could hear it in his throat, how it still hurts him till this day. Good for him trying to move on and talking about it to give everybody awareness to not just trust anybody with your kid. Stay woke, parents, because you can't trust anybody. And prayers for him to continue healing. And yeah, comment your thoughts down below. I will continue doing reaction videos of true stories like this. So subscribe if you like videos like this, and comment down below your thoughts, and I will see you guys back in my next video. Oh, and also like the video. It really helps the channel out a lot. And I'll see you guys back in my next video. Bye.